So I'm actually really excited to talk Star Wars with you guys. I don't know if you can tell by the comics and the books behind me, but I'm a massive Star Wars fan. I'm definitely not one of those people that thinks that everything Star Wars is great. I definitely have my gripes, and I don't think every movie is amazing or anything like that, but I am excited that Ahsoka came out, so I have an excuse to talk Star Wars. Hey everyone, I'm the guy with no name. Thanks for stopping by my channel and giving this video a watch. Let's jump right into it. So if you didn't know, as far as the Star Wars timeline goes, this series takes place after the events of Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Ahsoka picks up sometime after the character appeared in the episode in The Mandalorian Season 2 titled Chapter 15, The Jedi. She also appeared briefly in the Book of Boba Fett in the episode titled Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. So Ahsoka is still continuing her quest to try to find Thrawn, a former Grand Admiral of the Galactic Empire who is known for being a brilliant tactician and leader. Her fear is that if any Imperial remnants were to locate Thrawn, he might then rally the remaining forces to try to overthrow the New Republic, causing war to spread again throughout the galaxy. The episodes Part 1, Master and Apprentice, and Part 2, Toil and Trouble, focus on Ahsoka trying to find a star map, which, by the way, is very reminiscent of the star maps in the video game Knights of the Old Republic, that shows the location of a far-off galaxy where Thrawn is supposedly located in. In order to do this, she enlists the help of her friends, former rebels Hera Syndulla and Sabine Wren. Unfortunately, there is another party trying to steal the star map and reunite with Thrawn. Rosario Dawson reprises her role as Ahsoka Tano, and she's joined by Natasha Liu Bardizzo as Sabine Wren, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera Syndulla, the late great Ray Stevenson as the antagonist Baylan Skoll, Ivana Sakno as Shin Hati, Skoll's apprentice, and David Tennant, who reprises his role as the voice of Huyang, a droid who used to teach Jedi younglings how to construct their lightsabers. So, first of all, do you need to have watched all 7 seasons of Star Wars The Clone Wars, including the movie, 4 seasons of Star Wars Rebels, 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, and 1 season of the Book of Boba Fett to understand what's going on? To be honest, just because that's a lot of ground to cover, I thought the answer was going to be yes, but fortunately, I don't think that's the case. I mean, I've seen all those shows, but it really seems like the show does a great job of catching you up without, vomiting a bunch of exposition. The only things you really need to know are who Ahsoka Tano is, that she is a former apprentice of Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars who chose to walk away from the Jedi Order before the events of Revenge of the Sith, which is why we have not seen her in any of the movies. I mean, other than that, if you don't know who Hera Syndulla is or who Sabine Wren is, you will know who they are by the end of these 2 episodes regardless. I mean, I think my enjoyment was definitely enhanced because I have watched all those previous things. I mean, there's just a lot of different references and tie-ins that, that I got that would go over someone's head who has not seen those shows. But it really doesn't penalize you in any way whatsoever. I really liked the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. The duration of each episode was like 40 to 50 minutes versus, your standard Disney Plus duration of 20 to 30 minutes. And as long as I'm loving the episode, the more time the better in my opinion. Also, the story seems to be very focused. There was not a lot of filler in either of these episodes, and I'll be surprised if there's much filler throughout the entire season. Meanwhile, one of my biggest complaints as far as The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan goes is that they didn't have as much focus as I would have wished and had a bit too much filler for, 6 to 8 episodes seasons. The scale of Ahsoka also seems to be just about movie level scale, and not to dog on the shows, but The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan all felt small, a little too small, but luckily Ahsoka is more akin to the scale of Andor, which is a major plus for me. And finally, if you have seen Star Wars Rebels, I'm actually curious to see if you feel the same way as me, because on the one hand, I was really excited to see, some of my favorite Star Wars Rebels characters going from animation to live action, but at the same time, it was kind of weirdly off-putting. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't think that has to do with the actors, though. I think they all do really great. Bordizzo as Sabine, in my opinion, is the standout. Also, the score by Kevin Kiner is really great as well. He did the scores to Star Wars The Clone Wars and Rebels, and it was great to hear different callbacks to the themes from the previous shows. Also, if you're like me and love lightsaber battles, and I'm talking lightsabers clashing against lightsabers, then this show definitely delivers in that regard. I mean, none of the fights are Duel of the Fates level or Anakin and Obi-Wan or Luke and Vader level, but they are very good for what they are. So let me know in the comments if you have or have not seen Ahsoka. If you haven't seen it, do you plan on watching it? Do you plan on waiting and binging the whole thing? Or if you have seen it, what other Star Wars series have you seen as well? And you know, how confusing did you find the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka to be if you haven't watched everything? Like I said, I suspect it gives you enough to understand, but I'd like to hear for sure. If you enjoyed the video, please show me by liking and subscribing. I really appreciate it. I'm still fairly new at this, but be on the lookout. I will be covering the rest of the episodes of this series going forward, and I also have some other content that will be coming forward, different, you know, movie and show related content. If you're into, you know, the Disney Plus series and Marvel, I have 2 videos on Secret Invasion, and then I also have some, you know, reviews on different movies that came out recently, whether that's Oppenheimer or Sound of Freedom. But yeah, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this and looking at my other content. Like I said, there's more to come, so be on the lookout. This is Guy with No Name signing off.